good morning to all of you, and we have a session on bioenergy today, and we have the fellow speakers here. Each one has been a pioneer in the field and a significant contributor to the bioenergy growth in India. So before they start, I'm just going to give some opening remarks. As you all know, in the recent past, we have been talking about bioenergy in the last 2 decades. But bioenergy is not really new to India. Even the ethanol or biogas that we have been talking about today, we did this long time ago in India. Many of you may be surprised to know that we blended ethanol in petrol way back in 1943-44. That was during the Second World War. And we blended up to 20% and ran all the best buses in Mumbai, which were run on petrol at that point of time, with 20% ethanol blended in it. We did this for almost 2 years. As far as the biogas program, the world's very first biogas plant was set up way back in 1893 in the city of Pune. So we knew about ethanol as a fuel. We knew about the potential of biogas. So, so much of research has also gone into it in the last, a century or so. However, in the last 2 decades, there have been a big push that has been given for that. Way back in 2002-03, I would say in June, the then Petroleum Minister Ram Naik announced the ethanol blending program in the country. And he gave a big push for ethanol blending. And in 2009, Government of India came up with the first biofuel policy with a target to do 20% blending of ethanol in petrol and 20% biodiesel in diesel by 2017. It was a good policy, but not backed by a good implementation program. In 2014, when the NDA government was formed under the leadership of Modi ji, then they wanted to give a big push for the entire program. And in fact, I was invited by Dharmendra Pradhan to be his advisor. And also they constituted a national working group on biofuel for which I was chairing it. And when we reviewed the program, we realized that in 2014, the ethanol blending was happening at only about 1.4% as against a target to do about 20% by 2017. And then the biodiesel blending in diesel had not started at all. Not even 1 liter of biodiesel was purchased by oil marketing companies to do the blending. So that is when a lot of interventions were made and a big push was given. There were several things. One is, all the kind of policy hurdles that were there for the ethanol blending program identified one by one and started eliminating all those kind of hurdles. And then the most important part of it was the 2018 biofuel policy. In the policy, we really looked at how the feedstock base had to be enhanced in order to increase the ethanol production. So before 2018, we had only allowed C molasses to be converted into ethanol. But in the 2018 policy, we ensured that not only C molasses, but B molasses, even surplus sugarcane juice, even some grains, like, you had surplus grains, and also grains which are not fit for human consumption can all be diverted to produce ethanol. So one at the policy level, and the second thing at the feedstock level, several, interventions were made. And today, in case of ethanol, we have reached a level where, we are talking about probably in a few weeks, we would have achieved 20% blending in petrol. Now, in the 2018 policy, we reset the clock and we said that the new targets will be 10% blending by 2022 October and 20% blending by 2030. But in 2022, in May 2022 itself, we were able to achieve 10% blending, 5 months ahead of the target. And by looking at the kind of response that we were getting from the industry and the kind of investment that was going into the sector, the capacity that was being built, it was decided that, instead of waiting until 2030, we may be able to achieve this blending in 2025 itself. We set the target to achieve 20% by 2025 October. But we are still in April. I think by end of this month, we would have done that. In March end, we achieved 19.2%, and I think we are on the path to achieve 20% blending. This is a very unique program, and this kind of target and achieving those targets well ahead of the time schedules that we have, probably India is the only country, even in countries like US and Brazil, where they produce more ethanol and they blend more, it has taken a long time for them to get to where they are at this point of time. So, ethanol saga is a very success story in India today. We are looking at beyond 20% blending. We are already started selling 100% ethanol through 400 to 500 outlets in the country. And there are already two-wheelers and three-wheelers which can run on 100% ethanol. From June onwards, we are going to be at least 4 car manufacturers are going to be releasing flexi engines, which can take not only 20% blended, petrol, but up to 100%. One can blend any amount of ethanol in petrol. And these flexi engines are going to be introduced by June this year. So in order to make sure that there is enough fuel that is available, government is thinking in terms of setting up as many E100 facilities in the country for dispensing 100% ethanol. So this is something that is happening. But when it comes to biodiesel, we still have a lot of challenges. A program of blending was started way back in 2015, but we are still struggling. I think, the blending is happening only at about 0.5, 0.6% or something like that, much below 1%. But then we have a target to do 5% blending by 2030. We have quite a few challenges, basically because most of the feedstock was palm stearin, which we were importing from Indonesia and Malaysia. But Indonesia and Malaysia themselves have a very aggressive biodiesel program. They have gone up to 30-35% blending in diesel, and they are using all their palm stearin, excess palm stearin that they had, and very little palm stearin is available for India. We need to take up our own feedstock production program involving the farming community in this country. That's a very important aspect for us to do that. So we are far away from achieving the biodiesel targets that we have. A lot more interventions are required at this point of time. Another ambitious program that government started was on the biogas. As I mentioned, biogas is not new to India. We produced, first plant was set up in 1893 in Matunga. After that, there have been a lot of small and medium-sized biogas plants. In 1980s, we gave a big push through MNRE at that point of time. And we set up something like 4.5 million small biogas plants in India. And half of them may not be working at this point of time, but we have that kind of experience of setting up and managing small biogas plant. In 2018, under the Satat program of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, we looked at various different types of feedstocks which are being wasted. You have a lot of animal dung, then you have municipal solid waste, you have agricultural residues which are being burnt on the farmer's field. All of them could be converted to biomethane, biogas, and then upgraded to biomethane, and which can be used as a transport fuel. So that was the Satat program with an ambition to set up about 5,000 commercial plants, produce 15 million metric tons of gas, biomethane, which would replace almost 35% of the total gas that we had, fossil gases that we consume in the country. And that would replace about 75% of the total gas that is being imported into the country. So it was quite an ambitious program. And, once the program was announced, then, the pandemic was there. First 3 years, nothing much could happen. Now, when people started investing, we have started realizing that there have been a lot of policy gaps, and those gaps are being addressed one by one. And I believe that in the next couple of months, we will have the right kind of an ecosystem created in the country to attract that kind of investment. There are already about 100, 120 plants which have become operational and supplying the gases, and it is being sold in place of natural gas and also being injected into pipeline. The whole ecosystem is evolving for the biogas, and probably one of the most ambitious project, not only in India, but at the global level. So I don't think any other country has this kind of a program for that. And then, of course, of late, we speak a lot about hydrogen, green hydrogen, and we are talking about splitting the water and producing the hydrogen. But biohydrogen is another area where we hold a lot of potential. Many of the agricultural residues can be gasified, and then, you can have hydrogen being filtered out to meet our future energy requirements. So biohydrogen is another area, and this is the area where probably India has much better technology than any other country when it comes to biohydrogen, ready for commercialization, and we are looking at it, how it could be done. There are other areas. When we talk about many of these fuels, you are talking about replacing the fossil fuels in the road and aviation sector. But when it comes to the marine sector, we require a different kind of a fuel. And that is where methanol, I believe, plays a very important role. And, there are multiple pathways through which methanol can be, produced. There was an Apex committee created by Niti Aayog in Government of India, which was looking into the methanol economy. I sat on that committee also. And I was also chairing a working group which was looking at converting agricultural residues and MSW into methanol and dimethyl ether. Well, that program has not really picked up the kind of, the speed it should have picked up by now, but that is another futuristic fuel that we are looking at. So when we talk about bioenergy, I don't think, we are going to stop at bioenergy. When we talk about ethanol, we have done so much as far as the second generation ethanol is concerned. All the ethanol that we are talking about for 20% blending and beyond, that is all coming from first generation ethanol. That is from either molasses or through the starch route. Whereas lignocellulosic ethanol, that is agricultural residues where you separate the lignin and cellulose can be hydrolyzed and fermented to get ethanol. So probably India is the only country where 4 plants are under commissioning. One of them has been commissioned already in Panipat. And we are also looking at capturing the gases and fermenting the gases to get ethanol, like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen. It can be combined by microbes into ethanol. Even that plant has been set up, is under construction and under commissioning in Panipat. So we are looking at multiple feedstock, multiple pathways, and multiple opportunities. It is not just blending ethanol in the petrol, but we are moving forward. We are also looking at how ethanol can be blended even in diesel. You can do up to 7.8% blending can be done without even any modification for the engine. So we are looking at those possibilities. And when we talk about the aviation sector, we require sustainable aviation fuel. And one of the pathway is to convert ethanol into sustainable aviation fuel. And we have huge opportunities in this area. So in a nutshell, I would say both in terms of availability of feedstock, availability of technology, whether it is homegrown or multiple companies from abroad who are interested in bringing the technology to India. I think we have most of the things in place now. When it comes to some of the advanced biofuels, a lot more policy interventions are required from the government side, and the industry has been working closely with the government to see that the policy gaps are addressed. So in the coming years, India will be significantly able to replace the fossil fuel with biofuels. And as I see it, in our journey towards achieving net zero by 2070, this will be a very significant, bioenergy will be a significant contributor. Now, looking beyond energy, we are also talking about biomaterials. So a lot of things that comes from fossil, whether it is biochemicals, biofertilizers, all these things can come as, from the biological sources. Say, for example, when we talk about second generation ethanol, one of the byproduct is lignin. Lignin can produce lignin. From lignin, you can produce lignin sulfonate, which is, lignin sulfonate is a binder that is required by the cement industry. And that is being imported into the country today. And we can 100% replace it with the homegrown lignosulfonate. Lignin can be converted into biobitumen, and biobitumen goes for road making and fetches a much higher price compared to the petroleum bitumen that we are talking about. And now when we talk about biogas, the gas is being used for meeting our energy requirement, but the major, the byproduct that you get is the biodigestate, or what you call as fermented organic manure, whether it is in solid or liquid form, for which an ecosystem has been created, which can go back into our soil. In addition to the NPK that you get from your chemical fertilizers, this is going to add a lot of organic carbon into the soil, which will really increase the soil, enhance the soil fertility, and then soil health is going to be improved. And in future, you can use less and less chemical fertilizers. So we will be even replacing that. Say, for example, starting from sugar, we can make a lot of other products, like, we have today looking at xylitol, which can even come from C5 sugars from when you break the biomass down into lignin and cellulose. And xylitol, and there are sugars like isomaltulose, which sells as fantastic prices. It's the price of these sugars is 30 to 40 times more than the regular sugar, because they are low GI sugar, and people, the health conscious countries are willing to pay more for these kind of sugars. Going beyond that, we are talking about producing isoprene. Isoprene can be a replacement for rubber. And going beyond that, we can also convert any kind of sugar directly into sustainable aviation fuel with aromatics being in it. So there are huge such opportunities the entire sector is throwing up. And I believe a lot of initiatives and efforts are being put in this country to make sure that, we just don't stop at bioenergy, but look at how we can create a new bioeconomy in the country. I will stop at that, and we have some wonderful speakers here. The two of you have any presentations to make? You have PowerPoint? Yeah. Yeah. So we have speakers, and the range is fantastic here. In the entire value chain, we see people working here in this group. We have Ralkaji. He's working with Red Energy, who is looking at two aspects. One is how do we aggregate all the biomass that is there on the farmer's field, working closely with them, and with the help of technology, they have come up with their own innovative way of aggregating the biomass and making it available to the aggregators and to the industry. Apart from that, they also have expertise when it comes to, building a CBG plant. They are constructing several CBG plants at this point of time, positioning themselves as an EPC. And the most important aspect, which I want you to touch upon, is the kind of challenges that the sector, if you really look at various technologies that are involved, there is a lot of permutation and combination one can really use. And people who are investing into this sector are confused at this point of time, because we don't know what technology is going to work, what are the kind of compromises one has to make. So how are you really addressing those kind of challenges, and how we are trying to offer an excellent solution in the field is something that we want. And then we have Sachin Lokhande, who's essentially been working with LanzaTech Group. Now he's part of LanzaJet, who have been working on SAF, ethanol to SAF, sustainable aviation fuel. They have the technology with them, and really looking at how this technology can be brought into India and we start producing SAF. And as I was talking about SAF, we already have some mandate to do 1% to 5% blending starting from 2027. By 2030, we must blend about 5% into the ATF. So that's something on which he's going to be talking. And we have Rohit, who has been a pioneer when it comes to again feedstock related challenges that we have in the country. We have so much of feedstock that is available, but not only aggregation, creating the entire supply chain and making sure that this feedstock is available to the industry in the form and factor it is required for processing. And he comes with a tremendous amount of experience in that field, so he will be adding. And we have Preeti, from what I understand, you have been working with Methanol Institute. So I did mention about methanol, and let us see what she has got to offer as far as the methanol program is concerned. And as I see it, it's not just methanol. You have methanol and dimethyl ether. Each can be addressing different segments of the industry. And we have Mr. Baraji Mishra. Sir, as I have understood, you are also into EPC, right? So I would leave it to you. I think, we will start with those people who have some presentations, and then we can get into the discussion mode. Sir, it's over to you, sir.